Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Titan, aka T, if you're following me on social media. In this video, I'm going to go over my thoughts heading into the stock market this week as of October 24th. But before I get into that, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. It really helps the channel. Let's get straight into it. All right, so overall this week, straight to the point, I am bullish. Okay, I am bullish heading into the majority of this week. Now, I'm not expecting any crazy movement to the upside, but I'm expecting more upside than downside. Now, the thing is about tomorrow, Monday, is I'm expecting some bearish movement. Okay, I am expecting some bearish movement. And if we're looking at the SPY on a daily chart, it looks great. It looks absolutely amazing to the upside. It looks really, really good. However, I do expect one more red day. Okay, now how red is really up in the air, but I do expect one more red day, and I think that could happen tomorrow, where we see a quick little cool off session. Maybe it just happens all in one morning, and then maybe tomorrow evening we continue further up. But for the most part, I am bullish this week. Okay, looking at the hourly chart for the SPY, right? Again, looks absolutely amazing, looks great, but we are heading closer to our supply and demand zone, which is around 376, 379 range. Okay, what am I expecting as far as downside? What we want to look out for is 368, 367 retest. I would personally like that to happen. I would like for around that range to retest. At minimum, at most, whatever, we see 370 retest. Okay, that's what I'm going to be looking for heading into tomorrow. So we see one of these moves. I wouldn't say exactly like that, but maybe a double top there, and then we head down, and then later on this week we continue further up, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever the case may be. That's how I think this week is going to turn out. Okay, I could be wrong. Okay, I could be wrong on this part, but I just think we're really overextended. Maybe we see a little more upwards movement, maybe 376, 377 range before this move comes into play. But overall, hopefully you guys can see this, but overall, again, I am bullish. I just think we're going to see a slight cool down, maybe a dead cat bounce before we continue further up. All right, now, looking at the SPY, that isn't the majority of the reason why I think we're going to see one more day of bearishness. Okay, looking at the NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ is obviously live right now. The futures market is mostly live right now. So looking at the NASDAQ, again, we are at a critical zone. Okay, we are at a nice supply and demand zone. This all can happen. We could see this downwards movement happen after hours, really. I mean, we could see this happen pre-market, after hours, whatever. We could see that move happen, but I mean, we're pretty overextended. Okay, we're really overextended, and I think the market is going to need a cool down before it starts playing all these earnings that's coming up between Monday and Friday. We got Microsoft, we got Google, we got Amazon, we got a lot of big guys coming up as far as earnings report, and I think the market is going to need to cool down and get ready for potential good news on earnings. Okay, now they can turn out bad. We got inflation, we got all these other things, but I think the market makers are going to want to prepare for potential good news overall with these earnings reports, especially the big guys, the big techs. Okay, so looking at the NASDAQ, again, I think we are going to see another retest. Again, this could happen during after hours, during pre-market, whatever the case may be. And as you guys can see, we are currently rejecting 11,500. Okay, we do have a gap down here. Let's mark that. So we do have a gap here. All right. And one thing I say in previous videos, a lot of analysts, a lot of traders don't take serious is these gap resistance and gap reports, or they don't even know that that's a thing. Okay, they don't even know that gaps form resistance and reports are a form of resistance and support. So I would look forward to the NASDAQ retesting this gap area before continuing up. Okay, so that's another reason why I think we're going to see one more day of bearishness. Now, this isn't some major super gap, and I'm not saying we have to fill the gap right away, but again, it's not an important enough gap for us not to want to fill it and get rid of it to continue further up. Okay, so the levels I will be looking out for is obviously the 11,500 level to be broken on the NASDAQ. Once we break that, I think we're just going to head to 11,700 easy, and then after 11,700, 12K is our big number. That's our big guy. That's where everything gets real. Let's zoom out. Once we head up in this range here between 11,700 and 12K, that's where things get serious, and that's where I think we determine whether we are recovering from the market. More importantly, we want to break past 12K 100, I'll say, is more safe, okay, to look at. 12K is where we want to get past on the NASDAQ, and I think that's when we decide whether or not the market has recovered or is on the way to recovery. Okay, don't get your hopes up. I wouldn't. It's really up in the air right now, but that is for the upside. Those are the levels that I would be looking for: 11,500, 11,700, and 12,000. Okay, those are the levels I would be looking for to be bullish. Okay, as far as the downside, honestly, as long as we stay above 11K, I wouldn't worry too much about downside. But if we want to take into consideration, if we want to do some quick scalps or whatever the case may be, 11,300, 350, 11,350, 11,300 are the main levels that I will be looking forward to for maybe a retracement back down, but I just don't see us going much further down from there. 11,100 will be another level I would look for, but after that, it's really tough for me to see us get right back below 11K. I imagine we would need some very bad news for that to happen. So mostly I am expecting this gap to get filled somewhere between tonight, tomorrow, whatever the case may be. And even if it doesn't, again, I'm still overall bullish on the market, guys. I just want to see some type of small downside because we're pretty overextended. We are very overextended. We're heading towards our supply and demand zone. It is getting pretty crazy. Okay. Next is the Dow Jones. Okay. Let's look at the Dow Jones real quick. Again, same thing with the Dow Jones. Okay, we are heading towards a very critical zone on the Dow Jones, and what we want to look at is 31,500. Now, overall, long term, if we're looking at the daily chart, I think we're going to go further. I think we're going to go much further. Everything looks great. Okay, overall, everything looks great. Look at this guy here. I mean, we have completely decimated these guys over here. We should stop them out. It's really great as far as looking at the Dow Jones. But I will be looking for that 30. For me to be comfortable, I will want to see a 31,500 break, and then we head towards this guy here. Okay, this is where I want to see us get past. Okay, this big guy here. This is where the major sellers are. This is around 32,500. Okay, if we get past here, again, just like how we were saying the NASDAQ, this is probably another serious zone here. But this is a very critical zone of volatility, and I think we're going to just continue up. Well, before we continue up, we're going to obviously, I think, see that retest. And then we continue further up. So the levels I'm going to be looking out for the Dow Jones is 31,500. Okay, you want to see 31,500, 31,700 to be safe, and then from there, obviously I believe it's 32,000, and then 32,500 range. Okay, but once we get up here, that's where you want to have your fingers crossed if you are, bullish, bearish. I mean, bullish across the market. Okay, if you're bullish, this is where you want to really be praying. Okay, so that's what we are looking at as far as the overall market. Again, just a quick recap for the SPY. I want to see a retest of around 370, 367 range. I think that's not too much to ask for. If we continue up from here, then I'm really going to be treading lightly. But at max, even if we do continue up from here, I do think we can see 380, at most 390. Okay, if we make it past all that, and for some reason we had to, give me one sec, and for some reason we head to 400, then we could be good. Okay, we could see another recovery in the overall market. I think things will be really good. Okay, so what are we looking for? Okay, so what are we looking for? Again, we are looking for a break of 375, and then if we are going to go further up, I will be looking for a break of 380. Okay, if we break this zone here and we head to 380 and we break past 380, obviously next I will be looking at around here. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Let's see. I will be looking here, right here. Okay, this is where I will be looking at next. Around this area, once we get here, it's going to get critical. It's going to get serious. We're going to need something absolutely crazy. Maybe, earnings, maybe an earnings report, Amazon, Microsoft, one of those guys just absolutely, shoot the market further up. Maybe some news comes in. Whatever the case may be, that's where we're going to be looking at. So 390 is where we want to be looking at. 380 is also where we want to be looking at. As far as the NASDAQ goes, for more upside, we want 11,500 to break. For some reason, the market is going absolutely insane and is breaking higher. We may see it. Okay, you're looking at it in real time. We may see it, but if we do head towards the 11,500, which it seems like we're heading towards now, we may see that in after hours, and then tomorrow morning we start off bearish. So just be careful. Okay, just overall be careful. Break 11,500 and hold. We want to see 11,700 and then 12K. And then for the Dow Jones, we want to see 31,500 be broken, and then 31,700, and then from there, obviously 32K. All right. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. Hopefully it all made sense. Those are the levels you want to be looking out for more upside. Again, I'm overall bullish, so I'm not going to be looking too much for the bearish side. So I'm sorry if you are a bear. But right now, I am looking more towards the upside. But tomorrow, you could get your bearish move, okay? Again, on the SPY, you want to be looking at 370, 367. If anything, I will be looking at those levels for a retest and a bounce back up and an entry position back further up. All right. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. That's all I got. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.